Welcome to Policy RX with the Rock Doc. I'm Eric Murdoch, coming to you from the doctor's office in Estes Park, Colorado. Today, we are so glad to have Cedar Wright in the house talking to us about climbing, the Dirtbag Fund, and his ideas on what's to come. So Cedar is a professional climber. He's a North Face athlete. He's a National Geographic explorer, a frequent contributor to Climbing Magazine. He served on YOSAR, lived out of his truck for a while. But to me, he's more sort of like the comic relief for the climbing community. And I really appreciate that. Sometimes it's more important to talk about the fun of climbing rather than how to build a three-point anchor. And Cedar, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. I don't know how to build a 3-point anchor, so I'm not good for that. But I appreciate being here and appreciate everything you guys are doing with the Access Fund.
Thank you. Well, let's get into it. So, as you know, we have a new climbing law, the Protecting America's Rock Climbing Act, which is one of the sections in the Explore Act, and it does a couple things that are kind of incredible right now. That it's amazing that we even have a climbing law. It protects the past, and you and I talked about that a little bit. It kind of protects all of the climbs that were established before the law was signed on January 4th. So it protects all the routes on El Capitan and all the routes on the Diamond and in Linville Gorge and all across the country. But it also protects the future of climbing, and the law talks about fixed anchors, both the placement and the use and the maintenance is appropriate in wilderness, and it kind of sets the stage for the future of climbing to ensure that these crushers that are growing up today have the ability to go out and have these wild adventures that so many of us had. And I'm really inspired by what you've done. You didn't look at it from the legal or the policy standpoint. You put your money where your mouth is, and you created the Dirtbag Fund in order to allow future climbers to have these wild experiences similar to the ones that many of us have had in the past. So talk to us a little bit about the Dirtbag Fund. How did you come up with it? What is it? How do you feel like it's going to be used into the future?
Yeah. So the Dirtbag Fund is, I'm the founder of a nonprofit called the Dirtbag Fund, and in a nutshell, we give away small cash grants to young dirtbag climbers who are pushing the limits or contributing to the culture of climbing in some sort of meaningful way. And because I got my roots in dirtbag climbing, I moved to Yosemite and lived in a cave and dove in dumpsters and just got by on next to nothing and was able to, live this incredible lifestyle with the rock monkeys in Yosemite at the time. And it was just this incredible point in my life. And I just felt that lifestyle was so valuable to where I'm at now. I was able to become a professional climber because of that, full on ascetic commitment to climbing. And I think there's just something really cool and valuable about that dirtbag culture. And I wanted to celebrate it. And also, I've been very lucky. And so, I had just been getting these random influencer gigs on Instagram where someone's paying you like $6,000 to basically shout out their product, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm making, this kind of money basically just hitting post on Instagram. And so I decided to start giving some of that money away to the next generation. And I started the Dirtbag Fund. And at the start, I was like, oh, like 501c3, way too complicated. I was just giving my money away. And I was like, I'll figure it out later. And then luckily, I've had some people come into my life who've helped me turn it into a 501c3. And we're in our fourth year, and things are, really starting to grow and really starting to make a meaningful contribution to some young, psyched, strong climbers out there, living that dream and living in their cars or, living in caves or you just like scramble up choss in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah, that's Dirtbag Fun in a nutshell.
So is it different to be a dirtbag today than say in the 90s or say in the 70s? So for example, when I was living in Joshua Tree, there was no campground fee and people could stay there all season and live in the dirt. It's not as well, from my perspective, it's not as easy. What exactly is it? Is it the same, or is it just that as perhaps some climbers are getting older, they just think there's no dirtbags anymore? It feels like there still are.
No, I actually wrote an article for Climbing Magazine, and I called it "The Dirtbag is Dead." And it actually really, got a lot of people like heated up, being like, no, the dirtbag's not dead. They're still out there. They're still doing it. And, of course, I knew that. It was my way of basically kind of poking at people, being like, hey, the culture is changing a little bit. There's more and more people, in sprinter vans. And, it felt like there's a little less like, gathering around the campfire happening in places like Yosemite. People were circling up in their vans instead or whatever. Of course, like things change over time, right? Technology has changed our culture in so many ways, and has changed dirtbag culture in a lot of ways. I remember when I got my first flip phone. And now right, we all have like HD cameras and absolute connection to the internet at all times, right in the palm of our hand, and that's changed the culture of dirtbagging a lot. But what I found, especially through the Dirtbag Fund and really getting back in contact with these young climbers, and reconnecting with different dirtbag little subcultures out there, like the folks in Squamish or the folks in Yosemite and people in J Tree and other spots out in the red in Kentucky. They're out there, and they are still sitting around the campfire, talking shit, having fun, getting psyched for a big day of climbing, dreaming up crazy adventures, forming partnerships, all that stuff that we love about climbing, and so yeah, it's my way of celebrating that culture, and also, just promoting that culture. If I can inspire, a couple kids to take a gap year and go and chase those climbing dreams and see what they're made of, see what they can accomplish, there's value in that, in my opinion. Not everybody needs to get a 9 to 5 job. Not everybody should. And so I'm just that little kind of, classic countercultural voice in the climbing community, being like, dirtbags, let's rage. Here's some cash, go fix your beater car, or get a plane ticket and go to Patagonia or whatever. It's like, do with it what you will. Here's some cash, go rage. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, one of the things that I really appreciate about working about the Access Fund is that we're advocating for something that I think makes the world better and makes people better. And those dirtbag years, whether they're in your 20s or 30s, or whether you're Fred Becky and going for it all the way to your 90s, they really teach a lot of interesting life lessons. And I think there's a lot of people who really benefited from that and either are still in it or have used those experiences to just make the world better and make their lives better and give them grit. What do you think? Where is this current crop of dirtbags going to go when we look into the future, and we're trying to make sure that the policies and the laws and the money from the Dirtbag Fund allows people to keep doing this stuff, not shut it down, not shut down the adventure?
Yeah.
Where does the adventure lie? What are we going to see in the future with these? We still have people that are obviously that are super committed to climbing, but now, like I said, now we've got a whole army of Tommy Caldwells with steel fingers. What
Yeah.
are we going to see?
I mean, I think, prepare to have your mind blown, right? No matter what you can imagine, there's going to be some kid who comes around, and they just are going to see things from this perspective you never thought about. They're going to express themselves through climbing in a way that is going to be incredible. We're going to continue. I mean, thanks to the Access Fund, we're going to continue to see, first ascents and that are pushing the limits of difficulty. We're going to continue to see that exploration, which really excites me. And, I mean, even things, that I hold dear, like, like the limits of free soloing are going to get pushed, and someday someone's going to walk up to the free rider and they're going to on-site free solo it, things like that. And then it'll be like, all right, remember when Honnold was the man? And now it's like, everybody solos the free rider, like it's just no thing. So, 100 years from now, it could be like that, and then, I also just think that, I mean, times are tough right now, right? Like for a lot of people. And, so I could see the dirtbag culture growing a little bit through these more tough economic times. So yeah, I'm curious to see where it all goes. I wish I could, look forward, 1,000 years into the future of climbing and see what's possible. Hopefully everything, the access is still protected. Hopefully all your guys' hard work, has like kind of, led to the protection of those places that we love. You're still able to go up and, climb the nose of El Capitan. maybe the boot flakes falling off. I don't know,
Right.
but mostly it's intact, and it's dissolving into sand at a very slow rate. So 1,000 years from now, El Cap will be pretty much El Cap, and hopefully we can still climb on it. And yeah, I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited to inspire that future generation and just hook them up with a little cash. Yeah, great for what you guys do as well at the Access Fund. It's massively valuable.
Well, we're grateful for your inspiration, and hopefully some folks are gonna use that money to actually have these adventures and change themselves, and maybe
I
even
mean,
more
it's
than that.
happening. They're doing it. We're giving folks
Give us
money,
some
and they're going
examples. Yeah.
places. We've had folks in Baffin, First Ascents in India. I mean, dude, I had a guy, and he went out to climb Chaws and the Pickets, and he fell, and he perforated his butthole. The Dirtbag Fund sewed it back together again, though. So we're here for you. We got you in your time of need. And yeah, it's been cool. Like, a lot of people have been hooked up thanks to this fund that we've created, and a lot more people will in the future. So yeah, you never know. You never know what the Dirtbag Fund is going to fund next, and it's totally
Yeah.
random. And it doesn't have to be. It could be really kind of anything. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that it was used to sew up someone's butthole, but I guess that's a good use.
it's
So,
an excellent use.
well, let's wrap this up. That was a really interesting insights into dirtbagging, and I want you to tell our audience kind of what you got going. You got anything coming down the pipeline? Any plans? Any goals? Anything big that you're working on?
I do. I've got all kinds, because also I'm also a filmmaker, so I've been filming with Mary Catherine Eden on Century Crack. She's working hard to send that, so that'll be my next film project. And then personally, I've got some paragliding competitions coming up in November in Tenerife. I'm going to Tenerife to compete at the World Cup level in paragliding, so that's pretty exciting for me. I've really gotten good at a whole other sport and really love it. I'm gonna go and maybe give Arnold a couple climbing lessons in Vegas here in December. And then I'm cooking up some expedition plans with the North Face for next year, but those are top secret for now.
Sounds exciting. Yeah, Hunnold needs some lessons, and I think you're
Dude,
the
that
one to do
guy
it.
is such a hack.
Maybe we'll have him on Policy RX soon. Well, listen, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with us and give us some insights. Thanks so much for the Dirtbag Fund. To the audience, if you're interested in getting some money from the Dirtbag Fund, how do you do it? Tell us really quickly how people should
Yeah,
go.
yeah. So we will be opening up our next round of applications in the spring. You just go on there and you apply. It's a pretty simple process, and we're going to be giving out about 6 or 7 $2,000 grants next year. So get on there and apply. You can go over to my YouTube and see, one of the films that we just made with the Dirtbag Fund grantee, and then we're going to be making more of those films. We have several in the works, and so yeah, there's just a lot of opportunities there. And then, of course, go over to the dirtbagfund.com and donate to the Access Fund too. But yeah, but we appreciate it over at the Dirtbag Fund as well. Yeah, and then just be good to people and have fun out there, and off belay. Lots of love, Erik.
Thanks so much, Cedar. Take care.
Cheers, man.